In the Bahamas, heads of government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, conclude the 44th conference sessions, which sought to strengthen a joint market and economy for the region. Protesters stormed Suriname's parliament on Friday to demand the resignation of President Santoki and Vice President Brunswick for failing to deliver on election promises. And hundreds of Syrian refugees affected by the earthquake are lining up at Türkiye's southeast border crossing, seeking to get back home after the Turkish government granted them a permission to leave for 6 months. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In the Bahamas, heads of governments of the Caribbean Community conclude on Friday the 44th conference sessions, which seeks to strengthen a joint market and economy for the region, its flagship program. Discussions also seek to flesh out strategies related to COVID-19, other health issues, food and nutrition security, climate change and climate financing, as well as regional security. Also, participants in the three-day event under the chairmanship of the Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis continue to press for a local solution to the unrest in Haiti. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reaffirmed on Thursday his country's commitment to finding a lasting solution to Haiti's problems and announced the dispatch of additional security personnel to assist the local government. The chairman of the 44th Caribbean Community Leaders Conference and Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, described on Friday the upcoming 50th anniversary of the bloc as a golden opportunity.
Colleagues and friends, the 50th anniversary of CARICOM presents us with a golden opportunity. In celebrating the institutions and achievements of these 5 decades, the many peoples of our region should look back and rightly feel a sense of pride in all that has been gained and the value added to the region. But it also presents an occasion to look forward, to seize the opportunity to collaborate, to cooperate, and through our collective effort, build a stronger, more resilient, and more prosperous region.
Protesters stormed Suriname's parliament on Friday to demand the resignation of President Santoki and Vice President Brunswick for failing to deliver on election promises. Thousands took to the streets of the capital, Paramaribo, in initially peaceful demonstrations against government austerity measures. Protests turned violence after police repression, which left a preliminary count of 2 people injured. According to local media, the authorities decreed a curfew in the capital, Paramaribo. The mobilizations began after the Santoki government insisted on cutting social investment as part of an economic restructuring program with the International Monetary Fund, which includes fiscal reforms such as the elimination of subsidies on electricity, water, and gasoline. President Santoki stressed that those responsible will be investigated and brought to justice. During a press conference following the 44th regular meetings of heads of states and government of the CARICOM, Dominica Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit made a call for calm and restoration for peace and order in Suriname.
We do hope that all actors can respect the rule of law and respect people's right to move freely. And we certainly condemn the storming of the parliament. It appears that this is becoming a practice in our hemisphere, and it's something that we all need to seek to condemn and to stamp out in our hemisphere. And we call for calm and a restoration of peace and order, and allow for dialogue to take place, and the issues among the Surinamese people can be addressed in a respectful, lawful manner. And so we call on all to respect the rule of law and to maintain the rule of law in Suriname. Thank
you. In Argentina, the ruling coalition Frente de Todos denounced on Friday attempts to proscribe Vice President Cristina Fernández. The government coalition Frente de Todos advocated for the strengthening unity as a fundamental tool to avoid the return of the far right to Argentina through the disqualification of Cristina Fernández. After a meeting of more than 5 hours, members of the National Executive, a group of governors, political and union leaders, agreed on the need to defend democracy and define common strategies for the October presidential elections. The coalition issued a document in which it stated the need to prevent the proscription of the vice president, pointing out that her leadership and electoral power cannot be taken away from her. Likewise, the document recognizes the complex economic and social situation, which requires concrete responses to meet the people's demand. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador indicated on Friday that he refuses to give the presidency of the Pacific Alliance to Peru because he does not want to legitimize the coup d'etat carried out against the ousted President Pedro Castillo. In his morning press conference, López Obrador informed that he will instruct his Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Marcelo Ebrard, to notify the members of the Rio Group so that they can give their opinion and decide what to do regarding the controversial issue. President López Obrador recalled that when Mexico was going to hand over the presidency of the Pacific Alliance to then President Castillo, the Peruvian Congress did not allow him to leave the country. Later, when he was about to go to Peru to meet with the former president, the latter was removed and imprisoned. The Mexican head of state pointed out that regarding Castillo's situation, there is a lot of disinformation which only suits the oligarchy groups of Latin America and the world.
I'm going to instruct the Secretary of Foreign Affairs to notify the members of the Rio Group what we do, because I don't want to hand over a government that I consider spurious. Let the members of the Rio Group decide.
Peruvian Congress approved constitutional accusation against former President Pedro Castillo for allegedly heading a criminal organization and other alleged crimes. With 59 votes in favor, 23 against, and 3 abstentions, legislators approved the accusation against the former president. The President of Congress, Jose William Zapata, announced that after the decision, the file will be sent to the Public Ministry, which can formalize the investigation and initiate criminal proceedings against Pedro Castillo. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at the account at teleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Turkey's Interior Ministry updated on Friday the death toll after the earthquake in the country to 39,672. Together with that of Syria, the overall number of quake fatalities is now 43,360. Friday's figure is certain to increase as search teams retrieve more bodies amid the devastation caused by the powerful magnitude 7.8 earthquake, the deadliest disasters in Türkiye's modern history. Even as the window for finding people alive shrank, rescuers removed survivors from the rubble of a collapsed building in the district of Defne in Harhait Hatay province, more than 11 days after the powerful earthquake struck. Other survivors have also been found lately after hope had begun to dwindle. Turkey's Vice President Fuat Oktay said on Friday that rescue efforts continued at fewer than 200 sites in the region. Hundreds of Syrian refugees line up at Turkey's southeast border crossing, seeking to get back home after swaths of their adopted country were destroyed by the earthquake. This week, Turkey allowed Syrian refugees with ID cards from one of the quake-hit provinces to leave for 3 to 6 months. Many of those queuing are traveling with their families and large amounts of luggage, waiting for border security personnel to let them through. Nearly 4 million Syrians have settled over the past 12 years in Turkey after fleeing a civil war that has devastated vast areas of their country and killed nearly 500,000 people and displaced millions more. According to the United Nations, the 11 Turkish provinces hit by the February 6 quake are home to 1.74 million migrants.
My house is destroyed. It collapsed. My house collapsed. It's a problem. 10 to 12 days ago, as you know, there was this problem. I fled. I stayed in the park near my home. Then I heard that we could go to Syria, so I came.
We, we came 10 years ago. We started working. Everything was all right. Then the earthquake happened and our home gone. Everything we had gone. We don't have anything. I came to Syria 3 months later. Maybe I will come here again.
On Friday, Russia's gas company Gazprom announced that they are aiming to become the largest gas supplier to China. Gazprom announced it has the ambition to connect gas infrastructure in European and Eastern regions on the occasion of the company's 30th anniversary. They released data about fields that are suitable for natural gas extraction and have reserves of about 35 trillion cubic meters. The company said that with such reserve, they could supply Beijing with considerable volumes on the occasion of the celebration. Russian President Vladimir Putin praised Gazprom's world leadership regarding available extraction fields, volumes of natural gas production and deliveries. In Bulgaria, 18 migrants have been found dead in an abandoned truck, the Interior Ministry said on Friday, as the Balkan nation struggles with an increase in illicit border crossings. According to the ministry, the vehicle was illegally transporting around 40 migrants hidden under some wood, and some of them still alive were taken to a hospital. The truck was located near the village of Lokorsko, 20 kilometers northeast of Bulgaria's capital Sofia. A search was underway for human traffickers believed to have driven the truck and fled. Bulgaria is a EU member which serves as a gateway into the bloc and has been trying to tighten security to stop a rising number of people seeking to cross the border. Bulgaria has faced mounting accusations it is abusing people trying to cross over from Türkiye, with asylum seekers saying that they have been pushed back, locked up, stripped and beaten. Transportation unions in Italy held a nationwide 24-hour strike on Friday. The base trade union said the strike aims to reclaim the centrality of public transport and the role of workers in the sector, who are the main victims of privatizations. In the same way, they are also calling for an end to outsourcing and labor precariousness. Their demands include the reduction of the working week to an equal 35-hour week, the implementation of a national transport plan, and greater protection in terms of health and safety at work. Also, they demand that Italian legislation contemplate the crime of manslaughter at work, a minimum wage of €10 per hour, the elimination of atypical and precarious contracts, as well as regulations to prevent the monopolization of the market. The strike included buses, subways, streetcars, and even trains in the most important cities, where service was only provided temporarily between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. local time. In the United Kingdom, where 100 security and visitor services staff at the British Museum in London continue with the strike that began on February 13th, demanding fair pay. The striking museum workers belong to the cultural group of Britain's public and commercial service and are demanding a fair pay given the current inflation rate, which stands above 10%. In this context, the offer of a 4% pay raise made by the museum was seen as widely insufficient. Member of the Labour Party, John McDonnell, took to Twitter to support the strike action, denouncing the historic institution was being operated on the basis of low pay for its professional and dedicated staff. British Museum Director Hadwig Fisher said in a statement that he respects the decision to strike, but expressed regret that family visits to the museum during the midterm break will be affected by the strike. We have more news coming up after the final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back from the South. The Spanish government acknowledged that over 6 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been destroyed because they had expired. Among the doses destroyed are the 4 brands that have been marketed in that country: Moderna, AstraZeneca, Janssen, and Pfizer. The executive stated that the process of destruction of expired vaccine is part of the normal development of pharmaceutical product management, and reported that it is carried out by the entities designated by the health departments of each autonomous community. Although the Spanish government explains that the cost of acquiring the vaccine is subject to confidentiality, The prices revealed some time ago by the Financial Times allowed to estimate that destroyed vaccines are worth around 93 million euros. In the United States, investigations into a train derailment in the state of Ohio carrying toxic substances continue on Friday amid frustration of the response of Joe Biden's administration. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Michael Regan vowed on Thursday during a visit to Ohio to get to the bottom of what happened on February 3rd, as he admitted there are concerns among Ohio residents. According to Regan, the federal agency has so far found nothing to raise health concerns in the area. However, local people and environmental advocates expressed frustration over the response to the incident, although assurances were given that air and water quality were not a problem. Some symptoms such as nausea and burning eyes were reported among the public, while sick animals and a strong odor were reported in the town. At least 5 of the train cars were carrying vinyl chloride, which is used to make an ingredient in plastic products and can increase the risk of several types of cancer, including liver cancer. Heavy gunfire and explosions were reported on Friday at a police station in Karachi, Pakistan. According to authorities, 7 people were killed, including 2 policemen, a paramilitary, and a health worker. Murtaza Wahab Siddiqui, spokesman for the provincial government of Sindh, pointed out that the operation also ended with the death of the 3 terrorists. Witnesses reported hearing a huge explosion from inside the station, following smaller blasts and gunfire. The attack building houses the offices of some of the city's most senior police authorities. The spokesman for the armed insurgent group of the Pakistani Taliban formation, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, Mohammed Khorazani, claimed responsibility for the attack in a message shared by local media. Friday's attack comes after an attack on a mosque in the northwestern city of Peshawar in early February left 100 people dead, mostly policemen. Thousands of Palestinian prisoners staged a sit-in in Israeli prisons after Friday prayers in the 4th day of protests against punitive measures taken by the Israeli Prison Service. The Prisoners' Supreme Emergency Committee, which brings together representatives of all Palestinian factions, they create the mobilization in rejection of the Tel Aviv's actions. The movement was launched on Tuesday in Nafra prison, where authorities took retaliatory measures, including cutting off the hot water in the bathrooms in the middle of winter. The following day, the protests spread to Raymond, Ofer, Megiddo, Gilboa, and Negev prisons, where inmates launched a campaign of disobedience, which includes boycotting security checkpoints, according to the Palestinian Prisoners Club. The United Nations agency warned on Friday that armed clashes in recent days in northern Somali city of Las Anod have caused the displacement of some 60,000 people into Ethiopian territory. Referring to the situation of Somali refugees in Ethiopian territory, the spokesperson for the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Ola Sahrado Moore, said that these people fleeing violence are living in very difficult conditions, lacking sufficient food and water and sleeping in the open. The recent violent situation was triggered by last week's request by a group of notables and clerics from the town of Las Anod to rejoin Somalia, while neighboring Puntland claims sovereignty over the area. The nation is considered a divided country without an effective central government and dominated by clans and warlords since 1991, when allied militias overthrew the army-backed president Mohamed Siad Barre. The African Union Summit will be held on February 18th and 19th in Addis Ababa, capital of Ethiopia, following the deliberation of the 42nd Ordinary Session of the Executive Council of the Continental Organization. The Assembly of Heads of States and Government is set to consider and adopt several far-reaching decisions on various political and socio-economic areas to promote the welfare and quality of life of African citizens. One of its objectives is the pursuit of a continental free trade area that the organization has been pursuing for 17 years. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement is designated to encompass 54 of the 55 member countries of the African Union, with the exception of Eritrea, representing a market of 1.3 billion people and a gross domestic product of $3.4 billion. The entry into force of the pact would leave 50 million Africans out of extreme poverty within 5 years, with all the social, political, and human implications that category entails, as well as increasing the incomes of another 9%. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.